G'day everyone. We're well and truly into the growing season. We're in autumn down here in the southern hemisphere, and Sarracenia Leucophylla, which is a species of North American pitcher plant, is really coming to season right now. It's coming up with its grandest and showiest pitches of the growing season. And that's exactly what you're seeing with these plants right here. These have been taken out of my nursery. I'm just going to go over some of the varieties, forms and hybrids that you're likely to come across with Sarracenia Leucophylla. At least it's going to give you an appreciation of just how pretty these plants are. I'm going to be going over some general care guidelines to really bring out the best in your plants. I'm going to be going over some tips to look out for signs whether your plant is getting excessive sun in the form of leaf burn. I'm also going to be going over a pest that you're likely to come across if you're going to be growing your plants outdoors, and that's where I genuinely recommend you grow them, and how I fully utilise that pest for my carnivorous plants. My name is Jerry from Succulent Fly Traps. So we're just going to start off here with Sarracenia Leucophylla. It's a hybrid, this one. This one's for sale, this particular hybrid. Now, I'm not sure exactly what it's crossed with, but looking at the pictures, it's probably crossed with a Sarracenia alata. So it's a hybrid, it's a cross with another species. Now you can see how all these new shoots are coming up, and that's because autumn is here, and as I said, Sarracenia Leucophylla do peak in autumn. This is in a 20 centimetre high pot. I know I've sold quite a bit of these lately, and hopefully you guys at home are coming up with some really nice pictures like this. This is one that's just opened up here. Sometimes, I'm not sure exactly why it's come up with a crease there like that, but it has opened up. That's what it looks like there. Now, these of course will start to open up soon. Some over here as well. Of course, these are the older ones here, so this gives you a bit of an idea as to what the pictures look like earlier in the season. Let's just come back over here. So you've got these ones over here. These are the older ones there. Every now and again you'll see some discoloration here in the picture, indicating that it's caught insects in there and it's starting to release enzymes from the walls of the pitcher, which helps to digest those insects. Of course, what you can do, you can remove these, probably where the brown section begins, just chop them off there, and it's going to make your plant look a lot nicer. So this plant over here, it's probably about 60 centimeters high, so it's a very showy and grand plant to have. I've just basically kept this in the one pot. Probably next year I'll probably either divide this or put into a larger pot, but what I have noticed, if you don't divide it and just put into a larger pot, the growth tends to be more vigorous. And I think that just comes down to not so much disturbance to the rhizome. Here's one developing here, which is beautiful to see. But yeah, I'm hoping they're going to be coming up soon, these new pitches. It's really going to transform this plant. So here's another one over here, another plant that's come up, and these pitches here have fully formed. It's just a close-up of what they look like. They've sort of got a cream colour to those pitches. You can see that red, those red veins around the throat of the pitcher. Coming down here. There's a picture here looking very nice. Some get more red coloration than others. It's a pretty pretty plant with all these pictures coming up now. Again, it's around about 60 centimeters high, so they really does leave an impression, these plants, when they're coming into season. Here's another picture again. Again, you can see that discoloration there, indicating that it has digested whatever it's caught in those pictures, which is always a good sign to see. And that's just the base of the plant, what it looks like. Okay, so this is another form of Sarracenia Leucophylla. This one's called Sarracenia Leucophylla. The form is called red veins. Now, when you look at these pictures, they're beautiful. They really are. Look how brilliantly white these pictures are. And they're quite wide as well, especially when you compare them to the other one that I've got here. So they're around about, say, 1.5 centimeters across. These ones are around about, say about 3 centimeters across. It's about double the width. But just, they're both beautiful in their own rights. But this one's sort of got a cleaner white colour to those pictures, and they look really, really brilliant. You can't really see too many red veins there though. It's pretty much just green. Not so much red, but they do look brilliant. They're around about 60 centimeters high again. Here's an old flower, which I just left on there. They come up a red colour, and that's a indication of Sarracenia Leucophylla. They come up with these beautiful, brilliant red flowers. Now, while I'm having a look at these pictures, I can actually hear some buzzing. I just want to show you just what they've been catching. Let's have a look in here. There we go. Oh, maybe not that one. Here we go. Let's have a look down here. Hopefully you can see that. Don't know what that is. I think there's a moth in there. I think there's a beetle in there. But they really do attract all types of insects in here. And I think that those white coloured pictures probably fool the insects into thinking that they're flowers, which they're not. They're simply traps. Okay, so this is another Sarracenia Leucophylla plant. Look how beautiful these pictures are. It's a different form. You can see how you've got this one and then this one over here next to it. But they really are gorgeous. Now this one over here is a Sarracenia Leucophylla, and it's crossed with a rubra and I'm not sure how to say that, Sarracenia, but it's a three-way cross by the looks of it, and that's the result you get. These brilliant pink coloured pictures. You got the same height as the others, it's just that lovely lovely pink coloration, which contrasts beautifully with those white pictures in the background. And here's another one. You can see how there's plenty of white in those pictures, indicating it's a Sarracenia Leucophylla lineage there somewhere. And these pictures are quite short compared to the ones in the background. Just have a close-up of what they look like. Quite wide, and you got that red coloration there, the red veins there, as well as the white. Plenty of white there as well. This one here is called a Sarracenia Colin Clayton, and just shows you all these different types of plants you can get. Sarracenia readily hybridize with other species, so you can have an infinite variety of plants, hybrids and forms. But it just goes to show, when they all are together, they really do put on a show. And here's another Sarracenia Leucophylla hybrid. Didn't come with any tags, something that I got from my mum. But look how brilliantly white and red or pink these leaves are. They really are amazing. And the great thing about these is that you can have a good look inside to see what they've caught. Not sure what these ones have caught, but I'm sure there's something in there that's keeping this plant going. But yeah, I love those fan-shaped pitchers. They're not as closed as they are here, but really pretty in their own way. A lot shorter, of course. Maybe someone that is watching this video might know the names of this plant. If so, leave so in the comments box, please. Love to find out. So one pest you're likely to come across if you're growing your plants outdoors are scale. That's these objects over here. And scale are basically pests which suck the sap out of your plant. Now, one or two are okay, but when you have quite a few of them, over time it can weaken your plant. So it's important, if you do see them, to remove them as soon as you can, just to help control them. And the way that I like to control them is I simply just use a toothpick, and all I do is just basically pierce the shell at the point end, and then that helps you to remove that scale like that. Okay, so just keep going along here with those other ones. Now, depending on how mature they are, that will determine whether, and also the species. I think the adult ones are the ones that form the hard shell, and the immature ones are quite soft. So, and they're a different colour. They're lighter colour like this, so they come off quite easily. So just keep using your toothpick to help remove that scale as soon as you come across them. So down here as well, again, just put into the shell. And they like to hide where this tube is and where the ridge is, just in there for extra protection. So just keep doing that, and just again run your toothpick up there to try and help remove those ones in those hard to get places. Now what I like to do with that scale that's been removed is pick it up and just simply throw that back into the pitchers. You just simply drop them into the pitchers like that. And by having that shell pierced with that toothpick, it's going to help to digest the scale. So what you can do with that removed scale is you can place them onto some sundew leaves if you have any. And it's important with these dark coloured ones, they're the ones that got the hardest shell, is to pierce that shell with your toothpick. That's going to really help to digest it. And what I find is that if you place the underside of that scale, which is under the shell, on top of that leaf, that's going to help it digest even more as well, because it's the underside of that scale that is most vulnerable, and it's going to easily digest. It's just a matter of finding a leaf and just carefully putting it on the leaf like that. And these other leaves over here, I've already placed scale on there previously, and the leaf has started curling over it, and it seems to be digesting that scale quite nicely. And particularly those younger ones, which are the brown ones, they're the softer ones, you can just put them on there and they really digest easily. Okay guys, so here is what can happen when you have too many scale on the leaf. What happens over time is they exude the sap because they're sucking the sap out of the leaves. That sap that they extract and comes out of their body starts to attract sooty mold. You can see this dark colour mold here. You can just wipe that off with the earbud, but that's what starts to form. So small sort of discoloration like this isn't too bad, but it can get out of control if you allow the scale to really multiply, and eventually that whole leaf can turn black with sooty mold, and not only this leaf but other leaves in the immediate area. Just while I'm here, you can see this scale here. Let's just zoom in there a bit. You can see this scale over here. What you can also do, you can just use your earbud and just gently move it where the scale are, and that will remove those scale, including the ones that you can't really see. You can see how easily that gets removed using a earbud. The only thing is about this, it's harder than to reuse that scale and place it onto some leaves or drop it into a pitcher. And these ones over here, I'll probably need to get a toothpick to remove these ones. So yeah, just to give you a bit of an idea guys, what can happen if you have too many scale, sooty mold, and not to mention the scale itself sucking the sap out of the leaves of the plant. And also, if you start seeing ants around here, not necessarily the ones in the picture, but around the scale, that's a sign that they're feeding off that sap that's been expelled from the scale. So if you see ants, if you see sooty mold and see scale, then they're all interrelated, and there's a sign that you're going to have to do something. So there you have it. Now you have a bit of an idea as to what to look out for when it comes to scale, how they look like, how to remove them, the signs to look out for, whether it be the sooty mold or ants forming around the scale, and not necessarily the ones that are being attracted to the pitchers. Now, what's really interesting, and what I really find a lot of enjoyment out of, is being able to reuse that scale back for your plants. So it gives you a real purpose to look out for it, and at the same time it's a completely organic approach to looking after your plants. Now before I go, just wanted to show you more closely this beautiful plant over here. It's a Sarracenia Leucophylla hybrid. It's the ones that I showed you earlier, but this one here, rather than dividing it, I've just put it into a larger pot until it's into this now 20 centimetre size pot. And it's really flourished. It's come up with all these beautiful new pitches, and it just goes to show that if you allow them to grow without sort of disturbing the rhizomes too much, they really will reward you with beautiful growth. And it just shows you if you know how to look after them. So with my plant, with all my plants, I give them at least 6 hours of direct sunlight. Make sure that the water is on the base of the pot to keep the peat moss and the plant hydrated. Not giving them tap water, which can have harmful chemicals in it. So I use either rainwater, reverse osmosis, filtered water, or distilled water, and just allowing them to catch all the insects that they need by growing them outdoors. And it's the insects which provide the vital trace elements such as nitrogen, which is going to give them a real growth burst. So let's have a closer look at this plant. Okay, so this is this plant here. Now these pitches over here are around about 60 centimeters tall, and this pot here, it's think it's a 25 centimeter pot, but this plant over here really has flourished. You can see the old leaves over here early in the season. Again, you can cut off those brown bits to make your plant look a lot nicer. But as I keep saying, every plant tells a story in terms of its growth timeline, just by looking at those old leaves, how they formed early in the season, and now you can see these brand new pitches starting to form. Because it's autumn here, that's the reason why these big, large pitches are starting to form. This one over here did form, but I think we did have a bit of a dry, some hot weather late in autumn. Sorry, not late, in late summer. So I think that's probably affected some of these pitches. This one over here as well. But now that it's cooler, these brand new pitches are starting to form, and the reason why I think it was sunburn is because it only affected these developing pitches, and the developing pitches are the ones that are most vulnerable to sort of sunburn, because the leaves are still developing. You can see down here all these other shoots coming up. Can't wait to see all this come up. It's coming over here. Got these ones over here coming up. As you can see, it's completely crowded in here. I could put it into a larger pot next year, but I think I'll be dividing this one. But yeah, guys, if you want to really sort of see your plant take off, then you may want to just consider putting it into a larger pot rather than dividing it. Okay, guys? Some more pitches over here developing. This one's about to pop open. But yeah, beautiful plant.